Like me, you have probably been in that situation when you're sitting there with someone and you toss around the question, "What do you want to eat?" a few times and come up blank. It's a tough question, deciding what'll entice your taste buds in a world full of tempting choices. And not only that, but trying to decide not just for your own taste buds, but that of the person that you're with. I don't know why this question trips me up so much, but it does. The moment the question is posed, 10 equally yummy choices appear in my brain, and suddenly I want them all. As a writer, this problem of indecision occurs when I'm attempting to name my characters. That part of the process can be such a fickle thing. Name her wrong, and you risk turning off a bunch of readers. How do I know if what I find an attractive name, they will too? The problem is, I won't know, likely until my beta and editing team take a red pen to my manuscript. The truth is, it's hard to make a decision. Especially important ones where the risks are great. I mean, sure, if you pick the wrong restaurant, well, you can suck it up for the sake of the company that you're dining with. You can go home later and eat something yummier. But what if the decision could make or break something, or impact the lives of others, or affect the success of a creative project that you have spent a lot of time crafting? What if you can't decide effectively? Do you freeze? Do you put it away for another day, and then intentionally keep putting off looking at it again? Do you ask someone else to decide for you? None of these situations create momentum or success. That's for certain. So the smart alternative is to move forward and decide something. Right? Decide something. And if you're going to go that far, that is to decide on something, isn't it worth it for you to make the best one? So how do you make the best one? Well, sometimes deciding on something is a leap of faith. You'll never know the outcome until the consequences and benefits of your decision begin to show. What this tells me is kind of comforting in one way. Here's why. The outcome of the decision is not as important as the act of deciding. Right? Think about that for a moment. The outcome of the decision is not as important as the act of deciding. When you think about paralysis by analysis, which is when you get stuck in decision mode and never take the step, you are guaranteed to not improve. How are those odds in your favor? They certainly are not. So the act of deciding is the most important part of making a decision. Once you decide and act, the outcome is secondary. That can be changed and shifted with a new set of decisions, should you seek a more favorable result. The certainty in this equation is the act itself, not the result. So that's where I find incredible excitement with this. That being said, there are ways that you can help yourself make better decisions so that you're not just swinging at the air and hoping for the best. It would seem to me that heading in the general direction of where you want to go is the next important part of this decision equation. It's a lot easier to continue the journey if you've got a good navigational system. It can't hurt, that's for sure. So that being said, let's talk about some of these proverbial navigational systems that might help you be more comfortable the next time you have to decide something. First thing that I would suggest is making a pro and con list for any major decisions. I am a huge fan of pro and con lists when deciding between two or more equally reasonable choices. To do so, get a piece of paper and pen, create a line, right smack down the center of it, and write pro on one side and con on the next. Now begin to list your pros and cons and see what transforms. Which side outweighs the other? And by which manner are you weighing them? You need to be very mindful of more than just the quantity of the items on each side. One side might end up longer, but are the items in the other column much more important to you? The way around this conundrum is to weigh each item that you list by a number, 1 through 10. 10 being very important to you. Then, when you're done with your list, add each side up, and you'll catch a pretty darn convincing glimpse into the best decision for yourself. The next idea I got from a Huffington Post article. It suggested that you think of yourself as a fly on the wall. What does this do exactly, and how the heck do you do it? Well, the premise behind this is to remove yourself from the situation enough so that you can gain a wider view and a clearer image of what's really going on with that decision. What are the real factors that you need to focus on? So imagining yourself hanging out in the corner of the room and observing the issue at hand can offer this kind of unbiased thought progression when trying to make a difficult decision. Putting it into a writer's point of view, think of this as third person versus first person point of view. Meaning, instead of saying, I need to decide if I should do this or not, by taking a third person point of view, you'd instead say, she needs to decide if she should do this or not. What this does is it creates a situation where you are coming at the decision from an observer point of view, which is extremely powerful. It takes the personal out of it. And sometimes that is necessary to make a good decision. Another source that I sought out with today's topic was Psychology Today. Their advice is to sleep on it. I do this. I find it extremely helpful. Think about it. The worst time to act on something is when you are emotional over it. Experts always suggest to write out the emotions first before responding to an email or a potentially heated argument. Taking a break from it allows you to settle the feelings, let go of the ego-driven tendencies that arise under pressure, and come back to it with a clearer mind that is better equipped to think through the important facets of the decision. I think the bottom line to decision making is doing the best we can with the information that we have gathered. To not be so hard on ourselves, especially if you've made a decision and it doesn't turn out as planned. The best we can do is act out of love for ourselves and all involved. Use some of these tools to help guide you, and then follow through. Take the leap, knowing the outcome is temporary. You will have chance after chance of creating even more outcomes from decisions that either grow out of this one or out of future ones. Don't allow yourself to get stuck in that paralysis by analysis phase where you spend too much time teetering over the choices. The only way you're going to get moving and live a dynamic life, rich with experiences and opportunities, is if you step off the edge of indecision by deciding and then acting upon that decision with full faith that wherever it takes you, you'll be okay. Yes, you will be okay.